All right, so speaking of the defense, the Browns defense obviously had a great season last year, although it ended poorly with that bad performance in Houston. They did not play particularly well against another Texas team in the Dallas Cowboys. Now they play Jacksonville. We know Jacksonville's got their problems on defense, but they clearly have a lot of talent on offense. Are you concerned, G, that Jacksonville will be able to take advantage of the flaws in the Browns defense like Dallas did?
Yes, I do. And you'll see that on my pre-written headlines. Give you a little sneak preview. I just think when you got Christian Kirk, when you got Travis Etienne, a guy out of the backfield that can catch the football. Brian Thomas is a guy who, you go back and watch him burn Jalen Ramsey, one of the better corners in this league, and Evan Ingram at tight end. They're a patchwork group up front. But if Trevor Lawrence can get the football out quickly, and he's playing better than what we see Deshaun Watson playing right now, they got a lot of different ways that they can, isolate you on different levels, out of the backfield, over the middle, with the tight end. They got the speed guy. They got guys that are going to be possession receivers. Jacksonville has a lot of weapons, and I think they're going to be better in week 2, Jason.
The Browns defense did not play well on the road last year. They were dominant at home. We really struggled on the road. That's a little bit of a concern. You have to see, hopefully that gets cleaned up. This team saw Trevor Lawrence last year, but it was not Trevor Lawrence at his best. He was coming off a high ankle sprain, although he was moving around pretty well on it, but he still was far from 100% last year. So he's going to be better. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons for concern about this Browns defense going up against Jacksonville. They got a ton of weapons, and we usually see a big leap from week 1 to week 2. Jacksonville, I'm sure, had things that they wanted to clean up coming off their game against Miami. And I think it's cause for concern on how this Browns defense will respond, particularly playing on the road.
Yeah, there's certainly concerns there. But I also think, while we've made a lot of snap judgments about the Browns so far, and deservedly so, because it was pretty bad week 1, overall the defense played really well. And while I didn't think the defense would be quite as good this year, I still think they have a very good defense. And they got a lot of pride, led by Myles Garrett. I think they'll play much better this week. I was going to give you a prediction, but it's in my headline, so I won't give it to you now. But I expect the defense, even with the talent Jacksonville has, to make them uncomfortable. When you look at Jacksonville, they have a lot of good players in terms of skill. They don't have any superstars. None of their skill position guys are elite. They don't have. There's no CD Lamb this week. There's no Dak Prescott. Trevor Lawrence, nice quarterback. He ain't Dak Prescott. Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, nice wide receivers. They're not CD Lamb. So while they may have more depth of good skill position players than the Cowboys do, they don't have that front line super elite. I think Denzel Ward and I think the Browns corners as a whole will do very well against the Jacksonville wide receivers.
For whatever reason, they don't play like they play at home. And I go back to games where they didn't play very well. The Denver Broncos game where they couldn't get it, figured out. Yeah. The game against the LA Rams where Cooper Kupp was out of that game. Puka Nacua destroyed them. There's certain things that the Browns defense is still doing. They can't seem to stop the jet motion, and they're still having. We'll see later on these miscommunications in the back end where they're giving up big plays and guys are looking around like, well, who had them? And those are the things that get you beat on the road. And I just think that the Browns need to do a better job of buttoning that up and being able to disguise a little better instead of just lining up in man coverage and blitzing 100 times.
The one thing I'll say about the road home is, just like the fact that the Browns defense might not be quite as good overall this year, it's a new year. There was a home road split last year. Doesn't mean that's necessarily. Maybe instead of being the best defense at home and the 20th on the road, maybe they'll just be 8 on both. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. So maybe the road's not going to be quite as good, or the home's not going to be quite as good as it was last year. Maybe the road will be a little better. We shall see. Mikey?
We know Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett both missed practice on Thursday with
both back
lower
today.
body injuries.
Yeah.
Both are back today practicing, expected to be in uniform on Sunday. Jack Conklin and Jed Wills both working out today for the Browns in practice, suited up, going through individual drills right now.
Mike,
No
were they
official
listed as
status.
full? Was Conklin listed as full or limited?
Both limited yesterday.
Okay.
We'll find out the official practice status on those two in a little bit, but they are out there. I'm looking at videos as we speak from practice.